parents have some concerns of some stuff they may have found in your room?
Yeah, I believe so.
And what would it be?
A human head and hands.
What's up? We've got Natasha, we've got Shram, Desiree, Andalyn, Heidi joining us thus far.
We have a couple new supporters. Sarah has officially joined as a Taco Supremo. So I figured out what happened. She had joined as a trial. So when she came on that day, we didn't see it. It was because she was on the free trial. But welcome, Sarah, as a new Taco Supremo. And then Rebecca is a new small taco. So congratulations to
Thank
everyone.
you, Sarah and Rebecca. We're going to the Western Slope tonight.
Which is?
We're going to Heidi State. Heidi, you know this story. You have to know it.
Oh, Colorado.
Everyone seems to be wanting me to do this story lately, so I'm going to do it.
Colorado.
We're going to March 1st. It is a Monday afternoon, and it is 2021, 1:48 p.m. A 911 call comes in, and let's go ahead and hear that now.
Emergency?
Hi, there is an emergency. I found something in my son's closet wrapped in a plastic bag. I think it's a human head.
It's a what?
I think it's a human head. Looks like it's all an ear.
Is it bloody or does it like anything like that?
I just need to come. Do I have to take a picture and send it to you?
What's the address?
Did she just ask if she should take a picture of
Yeah,
it?
do you need me to take a picture of it and send it to you?
All right.
Is this the case that my coworker had asked you to do?
Yeah, this
Shout out Emily!
This is a little wild.
This is like, I mean,
From the 2 minutes that
I've
I've
had a
seen.
couple people ask me to do this, to be
I'm
honest. So
excited.
I'm just like, all right, I guess I'll do it.
Container in his closet. And so I just kind of started digging through going, what is this mess? Like moms do.
That sounds like
And
something
I
my
saw
mom
a
would do.
plastic bag, a white plastic trash bag. And I was like, what in the world does he have in here? And I picked it up and it was heavy. And I held it in my hands and I was like, what in the world is this? What in the world? Is it like maggots covering something?
Maggots.
I gotta take it in the sink. So I carried it out to the sink and it was double bagged. So I ripped open one bag and I saw
Jesus Christ, that's bad.
I was about to say the one positive about not having kids is that I won't have to experience that. But then sometimes I remember, oh no, I don't remember things that I've done in the past. So what if, I'm not saying I would find
Have you
a
done
human-
this?
No,
Oh my
I've
God,
not done
seriously?
this. No, but there have been times where I've been cleaning my room and I'll find a backpack or something and be like, oh, what's in this backpack? And find something that's a total surprise to me. So I guess I can't really say that I wouldn't just go through a room and be surprised to what I find, even if I don't have children.
All right, so the mom says
I would hope you would remember, though, if you severed someone's head and put it in a bag.
Well, to be fair, don't think I would get that far.
Okay.
Why not? Because the spinal cord and stuff?
Because I can't even eat baby carrots.
You should do what Ed Gein did. When Ed Gein, and of course they were already dead, when he wanted to remove the head, because they asked him, you didn't bring a shovel or anything. How did you get the head off? Well, I just sort of moved it, twisted it back and forth.
No.
Like you do like a spoon and eventually it'll just break off.
Don't like that.
All right. If you haven't heard this story, this is nuts. I'm very shocked we haven't seen this before.
Yeah, I was surprised to hear you say that it happened in 2021.
The mother goes into her son's room. Her son is named Brian Cohee Jr. This is the Cohee family, Grand Junction, Colorado. She goes inside his room in the closet. She's snooping around. She's not snooping around because she just wants to see what her son's up to. She has a very specific reason. The father, as you'll see in a little bit, actually found another man's wallet in the family car, or one of the family cars. The car was recently pulled out of the lake. It was in the Colorado lake, just submerged. Just chilling. And there is footage of that incident. The son, Brian Cohee Jr., was out for a drive to clear his head, is what he told police. And somehow he parked the car in the middle of the river. We know now. Yeah.
I mean,
we know now he was trying to submerge it, but He actually got it out into the middle of the damn river, which is pretty impressive.
Nice parking job, bud.
But they
no one's parking here.
But they towed it out, and the next day, because it's not a crime, it wasn't a crash or anything, and the cops did believe the kid. It was like, okay, yeah, he's just a stupid kid, doesn't know how to drive. Parked it in the river. They towed it out. The father finds a wallet that's not his son's in the glove compartment, plus a large knife. The wallet actually belonged to a missing man in Grand Junction, and everyone knew this man was missing.
So did you say there was footage of him putting the car in the lake, or it was body cam footage of them pulling it out? Or like, sorry, I got stuck on that.
No. So there is footage of not them pulling it out, but of the police body cam, like laughing and saying, because they didn't know about the murder, laughing. It's like, oh,
somebody made a wrong turn and ditched their car and was too embarrassed.
Yeah, we'll watch it.
I'm sure.
In a little bit, but yeah, so they thought it was just some stupid mistake. All right. Anyway, the dad finds the wallet, calls mom. Mom goes into the room. This is 1:48 p.m. And then mom finds a Tupperware container. As she said, she finds a couple plastic trash bags covered in maggots. She takes these to the kitchen sink, and there you have it. And that's when she finds the head.
What's up, Oregonian?
What's up? What's up?
Trying to make sure I say hey to everybody that joins.
Long time no see.
I know.
Yeah.
Don't work too hard, my friend.
He's working?
He said it's been a while to see all three of us. He's been working too much.
Well, we're going to start doing more, because now that we got the Zoom thing working, it should be...
Figured that out.
Yeah, it should be during the week we can record all together. But anyway, so... what next? Okay, well, the cops come. Now, the son, Brian, isn't home at the time. He's actually at a friend's house. He has the family car. The mother calls Brian and tells him to bring the car home. The mother is being very strategic about not alerting the son that she just called 911 because of the severed head that she found in this room. It was a severed head and hands found in those bags. So he comes home. The police then show up. And this is what you're probably seeing on TikTok, I would imagine, this little clip here. This is Brian Cohee.
Okay, so parents have some concerns of some stuff they may have found in your room?
Yeah, I believe so.
And what would it be?
A human head and hands.
Oh, boy.
Did you see his face?
Yeah.
All right.
Can you play it again?
Yeah, I believe so.
And what would it be?
A human head and hands.
We'll get into this, but this guy, there's one killer that this guy would become if Mama hadn't called 911.
Is he like a baby Dahmer?
No, it's something else. Another guy.
A baby Geen?
No, not a baby Geen.
A baby Holmes?
A serial killer that once said, and I quote, as Brian Cohee also said in his interrogation, talking about a female victim, he says, quote, "I wonder what her head would look like on a stick." He says that in the interrogation.
Ooh, was that Kemper? Was that Kemper?
It was the other guy.
No, it was Kemper. Yeah, you got it right.
Yeah, Kemper. Good job, quiz.
Who were you talking about?
I was my next guest was gonna be Otis Toole.
Oh, no, we haven't finished that story yet.
Oh, will we? Will we ever?
I hadn't even done the good episodes on that one yet.
I know. I'm waiting.
There's
I didn't know you guys didn't finish it.
There's a whole first cousin episode I'm doing.
We only did one, the one with you. That's it.
Oh, I thought you guys did another one.
No,
I don't think so.
I've got
maybe
7.
we did one small episode.
No, I did 2. I only did 2.
Yeah. Okay.
A human head and hands.
Jesus Christ.
Just very.
He debates. Is he gonna tell him the truth or not?
Jesus.
He questions it. Am I doing this?
Like he had to think about it.
Are we doing this?
Yeah.
Let me show you the cop going in and verifying that it's really a head.
Yeah, you can go in the same place.
Okay.
Right there. No, house is empty.
You hear the mom?
Yeah. Oh yeah, she's
A
wailing.
bag feeling about what happened this weekend. And she said there's a bag in this closet, and she opened it up, and she called me and said, "Get over here right now."
Yep.
Yep.
So the mom brought it out to the sink because she probably thought it was like old food or something.
Yeah, because she saw the maggots, she said.
Brian, as you'll see very shortly, Brian Cohee Jr. is a psychopath, and he will lie to his parents so convincingly that even they believe it.
Okay.
Yeah, you can tell how he is very calm and collected, like the day at the lake when he just did this and tried to ditch the evidence. He is talking to police like he's friends with them. They have no idea. He's very cold and calculated. He has no emotion about it. So you can see him here.
I've been very, very anxious.
That's understandable. So what we're going to have you do here is I'm just going to have you sit in the back here, okay? I'm going to turn on the air for you in a second. That way you're not too hot. Are you a hot-blooded or cold-blooded kind of guy?
I am very cold-blooded.
Ooh.
He is a cold-blooded killer.
That's...
Anyway, that's kind of crazy, right? So let's talk about
That did kind of give me the chills when he said that, though. Like,
what?
Like he's cold-blooded. Like,
I know, yeah.
just-
He says some other stuff that might give you the chills here.
Heidi says there's nothing to do out there. But isn't weed legal out there? Like, can you just like smoke and not kill people? Like, aren't you supposed to be chill?
Was he doing drugs?
I don't know.
Oh.
I'm just asking. She said there's nothing to do out there.
Oh.
You don't need anything to do. All you can do, if there's nothing to do, you just smoke some pot and then you're just content with yourself. And I don't know anyone that's just smoking pot and just killing people.
Well, he may not be smoking pot. That may be the problem. Maybe he should have been.
I mean, probably.
The detectives now have a head, a human severed head and hands, but where are the other body parts? And not only that, who is this guy, or who was this guy who owned this head? Well, Brian tells the detectives where they can go and find the rest of the man's body, and we can see that right here.
Very true, Heidi. Just because it's legal doesn't mean it affects people the same. You're not all potheads.
No, I know. It was a joke. I'm sorry. Now I'm affecting the Coloradans.
It's legal in a lot of places.
I know, but
I think it's about to be legal here.
it should be.
It's close to medical.
What do you mean it's close to medical?
Like, it's on the state Senate floor for medical legalization. I don't know if it'll get passed, but
It's right here. Yeah. Because there's an arm. Hey.
That's not funny.
Yeah, but it's, it's that dark humor. I mean, they see this shit all the time.
So I guess it's literally what we do, you know?
But
Yeah,
yeah,
I
she
guess
probably, like, I think the cop, you heard him say, hey, kind of to stop her from laughing. You know what I'm saying? Like, she probably watched the video and was like, fuck, I should not have done that.
That's how I feel about 80% of the comments I make here. So
Right, here's a leg. That could be the upper arm or a leg.
Question.
Well, there's three. There, and there.
Pieces down there. I mean, if we can get.
Is this body cam footage after they had discovered the head and hands?
Yeah, he told him.
He told them where the rest of it was.
Yeah, yeah.
So I wasn't sure if they were like, they found all these parts and then they happened to, you know.
I'm sorry. Can we revisit where this is
Yeah.
under the overpass?
Yeah, it's right here.
So he was just like driving and was just tossing these body parts while he was
no,
driving.
no.
Or this is after I'm surprised he didn't keep them in the trunk.
No, it's a really good question. So the victim was homeless.
Oh.
And the victim was found right behind here. So Brian, on February 27th, in the wee hours in the morning, right before he plunges his car, drives out here, as we'll talk about, and he finds a homeless person sleeping there. The reason that is sus is because he was practicing, right? This was his first. And you kill an unfortunate because, who the fuck's going to ask questions, right?
Don't like that.
Or report him missing.
He would.
But he was missing, wasn't he? Or he was missing after he killed him.
No, you're right. The homeless man, Warren Barnes is his name, was missing, and people did file missing reports for him.
Okay.
But that's very unusual. It's just because he was known around the area. The local businesses saw him every morning. One of the ladies runs a little coffee shop. Every morning he'd be there for his free cup of coffee. Like, she was real nice to him. So she's the one that got really worried when he didn't show up, the following day. There was another lady who ran, I think, a little bookstore, and he let Warren sit at this little area like every day. So he had
some nice people.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
Wow.
I mean, like, it's very, very unfortunate results, but it's kind of heartwarming that they cared enough to
and knew he was missing.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it was anyone else, he could have got away with it.
I mean, another person without
another homeless
didn't
person.
have another, wasn't so familiar with others, and then community.
Exactly. Because I don't know, do homeless people have like IDs and wallets and stuff? I know that sounds bad.
Maybe.
But
I mean, they might.
Depends.
Oh, well, they may. I mean, prior to them not having a residence, they probably have some sort of identification on them.
So this guy, this is the victim right here. He was homeless, but he did have like a debit card, and the local business owners I was telling you about, they did give him money for beer and stuff like that. Apparently he was like the sweetest guy ever. And when he didn't show up the next day, literally the next day for his free cup of coffee, multiple businesswomen in the area alerted police. So he was really well loved. So that's him. But in any other case, like let's say if you go to Oakland and do this to a random unfortunate, right?
You mean San Francisco Bay Area?
Oh yeah, whatever. You could probably get away with it because who cares? These are
Or it's such a huge area. It's a
large homeless population out there. Well, Heidi's saying that a lot of the homeless population are veterans, so they probably have some like their VA ID.
Maybe.
Maybe.
One. How old is Brian Jr.? Just out of.
At the time he did this, he was 19. Yeah. So he's
an adult.
He's an adult.
He is an adult.
Yeah. And he does tell the cops in the interrogation, I'll let you hear. He says something to the effect of, so how long do guys like me go to prison for? Like 20 years, maybe?
So I wonder what he means by that, because of the age or because he's a young white male?
I don't think he sees it as that serious.
Yeah.
That's what I'm getting from the comment.
So the victim is a high risk victim, right? So a prostitute, a homeless man, like they're high risk because they're probably not going to be looked for. You know what I'm saying?
High risk or low risk? High risk.
High risk, yeah.
High risk for
being murdered?
Being murdered, yeah.
Oh, okay. I wasn't sure if you meant like high risk on the murderer's perspective or the victim's perspective.
But the fact that he did this guy in such a brutal manner, which we'll get to, it is obvious that he was going to continue this. And he was going to continue this. There's no doubt about it. When they found his calendar, which was in his Android phone, a Google Calendar.
Apple would never.
On the 27th, the murder date, it just said one word, first.
Oh, I don't like that. I do not like that.
So luckily, I mean,
that's crazy.
There would have been a lot more. I'm telling you.
Thank you, Heidi. I was actually just going to ask, is it 18 or 21 to buy weed? It's 21.
It's 21, but 18 to buy
cigarettes, tobacco.
Tobacco.
No, I think they changed that to 21.
To buy what? Cigarettes?
Tobacco.
Really?
Recently, in the past few years, I think.
They need to stop. They need to man, these tobacco companies are suffering, man.
Pour them?
Yeah, but
don't get me started.
The fucking
on that.
vape is the worst. We covered that guy that had a double lung transplant.
Yes, the vapes are terrible.
Vapes are bad. I wouldn't call it worse.
Oh,
I thought he said the worst.
They're worse than cigarettes.
They are. They're terrible.
So why are they not?
They're worse.
I mean, like they have a lot of. I mean, not to say that cigarettes don't, but there are a lot of artificial chemicals that go into that. Like, and it's
there's a lot of that in cigarettes.
What if you just get your own tobacco and roll it? I was thinking about doing that.
I mean, it's still smoke in your lungs.
Yeah.
It is still very bad for you.
You can just get like a plain like essential oil vapor stick.
Things are not meant to be in your lungs other than air. Mm-hmm. So like, don't inhale essential oils like that either. Like, don't smoke that.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't mean like I said that, but I didn't.
PSA. Don't go smoking your peppermint
oil. Smoking essential oils?
I mean, I haven't had a brain scan lately. I don't know how it's affecting me. No, I'm not smoking anything. I don't smoke. Except Drunk Jen used to smoke cigarettes sometimes.
I'm glad you don't anymore, Drunk Jen.
Yeah, we miss her.
Yeah, now she is boring around this bitch.
Oh, stop it.
I'm just saying. All right. Let me talk about the autopsy right quick.
Natasha says too late. I'm trying.
Matt, we do miss her, Drunk Jen.
Yeah. Well, maybe I'll have maybe she'll reappear if I have a stay over one time. But now it's Sarah says shut
up, Matt. Don't get her into trouble.
No, I can't. I'm going to church tonight, so.
Tonight is
what?
not the night. She needs to repent for her sins, okay?
No, it's because it's for tomorrow's Easter, and I think I'm going to go to the vigil because I haven't been to a vigil mass in like years, and I thought it would be nice, and then I don't have to wake up early in the morning, and I can just kind of chill. So that
sounds like a good plan.
Yeah, it doesn't start till 8, so I have
Plenty
time
of
to get
time.
home, and so I'm not going to do anything crazy tonight.
The autopsy was done on Warren Barnes, 69. The cause of death is multiple stab wounds. This man was stabbed 26 times in the head. 3 of those stabs.
In the head?
In the head, yeah. In the head.
I hope not the face.
Yeah, Jen, that's the head, the upper section here.
I know the face is on the head. I'm just saying, like, I hope he didn't stab him in the face. Like if I was to get stabbed in the head, I wouldn't want them to stab me in the face.
He was definitely stabbed in the face, and I'm just going to say it now. I was going to get to this, but his eyeballs were also carved out.
Oh, no.
That is Jen's biggest fear.
It is one of my biggest fears. You remember.
Of course I do.
His eyeballs were
eyeballs freak you out.
Cored out.
The eyeballs and my teeth.
Yeah.
I had a dream where I lost a tooth last night. And fingers, yeah.
I did see
I do have my, what did I call it last time? My, I got to stop interrupting. I'm sorry.
He was stabbed in the face. His eyeballs were cored out. And although we don't have the autopsy photos of what he looked like after death, I will say that the medical examiner said of the 8,000 autopsies he's conducted within his career, this extreme of a case was less than 1%. So he may have only covered 2 or 3 or whatever. Yeah, I guess it's 8. 8 would be 1%, right?
Yeah.
So yeah.
Good job, Jen.
Thank you.
Shit.
Sober Jen can do math.
I was going to say, meanwhile, John's the one that's taking a math class right now.
Also, in the cause of death report, a fractured skull and brain damage caused by either a baseball bat or a rock. So we know it was a piece of concrete there by the bridge.
Well,
it was
a baseball bat could be made out of wood or aluminum. It doesn't, not necessarily concrete. I don't think I know of a concrete baseball bat.
Thanks, Jen.
You're welcome.
That cleared it all up for us.
I'm trying to be educational now.
So, fractured skull and brain damage, but the real cause of death was being stabbed in the face. It was so brutal. And like I said, we don't have the autopsy report, but the jurors had to see the photos as per usual, only through flipping through a folder, like a manila folder. So juries,
they're not like on the screen.
They put them on the screen these days. They were so graphic that they couldn't put them on the screen. They had to slide them in front of each juror, and they had to go through and look at them. That's bad because nowadays it's all on the screen.
Yeah, they didn't want the public to see them.
Yeah, exactly. Because, there's
people in the
snoopers
in the courtroom.
Yeah. All right. So I'm going to go over this exactly how it happened to the T. So everything I say is what he says during the interview. So you can see exactly how he is in the interview. And this is pretty crazy. I'm not going to lie. The night of the murder was the February 27th. So 2 days before. It was a full moon outside. He remembers that. He said it was a full moon and he was feeling like killing. He actually takes a Michael Myers mask out of his room and he brings that with him.
I mean, he didn't have to try that hard. He almost looks like Michael Myers, but okay.
No, I mean, one of the evidence photos is the Michael Myers mask, the white one with the hair.
Michael Myers should dress up as him for Halloween.
No, not Michael Myers, the comedian.
I know.
Halloween, we know.
Halloween, yeah. Full moon, February 27th. He actually drives around so much looking for a victim. He knew he wanted to kill. He's been wanting to kill since he was 15. So tonight, it was just the right time. He drives around so much so looking for a victim that he actually has to fill his car up with gas to continue looking.
What kind of car was it?
It's like a Ford Taurus or something.
Was it so it wasn't a gas guzzler?
I mean, it was
just a car.
Just a car. Yeah.
I'm just wondering, for how long he was driving around.
He would have had to have been driving for a while.
Yeah, that's a good question. So he was driving about 2 hours around, just looking. He actually stops at a Shell station, and then he gets on Google Maps. He activates his Google Maps and types in the exact location, which is Crosby Avenue and Highway 30, which is right under the underpass.
Because he knew a homeless person was there?
he had looked up on Google where homeless people hang out. He wanted nothing else but to kill a homeless person. Like a homeless person was going to die. I don't know.
That is not the way to solve the homeless epidemic in this country.
No, he wasn't. How bad is the homeless population in Grand Junction? Do you know, Heidi? Because, I mean, is there a lot of homeless people out there? Because it seems like this man, Warren Barnes, was the only one out there that night.
February, it's got to be chilly.
February 27th, and he was under the underpass and...
Under the overpass?
Yes.
Yeah, under the overpass, kind of where no one can see him. So Michael Myers' mask, he puts on 3 pairs of gloves. He actually tells the detectives, if you watch the whole interview, it is like this kid is happy to share all of his knowledge with the detectives, almost like he is teaching them a class. Oh, so you don't want to just use latex gloves because they're thin, they can wear down, and fingerprints can actually show through the latex gloves. So I put on 3 pairs of gloves, stuff like that, right? He even draws out, I don't know if y'all saw in that one video, but he's drawing out on the wall. During the interview, he actually mentions the bystander effect, which is kind of weird.
Kitty Genovese.
He says people were driving by. It was 11 p.m. and they saw a scuffle going on, but no one approached because of the bystander effect.
Thing here and here.
And it was like he was teaching the detectives what that is. It's kind of weird.
His body language is interesting.
You said his body language is interesting?
Mm-hmm. He's very open. And his body language is also very open.
Mm-hmm.
Like his
he's excited to talk about it. Yeah.
And he made the decision when the cops first went to his house. Am I going to tell him what it is or what it's not? And so he went in that you could see him thinking, am I going to say what it is or am I not?
We can talk about this later, but when he was 17, he actually told one of his psychologists that he was going to, he, quote, wanted to be famous. I don't care what for.
He made the decision then and there. He gets caught. He's going to sing like a canary instead of going closed.
Now, I said that you did say that he's a psychopath, but is he by chance on the spectrum? Well, it just seems like some of his mannerisms are I can't really describe it.
Social.
He's a little socially awkward. His cues are a little he's hyper fixated on what he's done. Very excited to share about the thing that he's accomplished. Didn't make a lot of eye contact when the police were talking to him. Like when you could tell that his wheels were spinning when he was talking to the police. And I was going to ask if he saw a psychologist or a therapist, because you said that he's been wanting to kill since he was 15, and he's 19. So
he wanted to be famous.
Well, but before he said that he wanted to kill since he was 15. So that's something that if it went unchecked is very concerning from a parent's perspective. But if he was seeing someone, if he saw a psychologist regularly, it's kind of even more concerning, because I feel like that's something that a psychologist would have to share, because the level of confidentiality is broken if someone shares that they want to harm someone else or themselves, or if someone is harming them, in those 3 circumstances. And there may be nuances to that, not don't share, but if it's something,
you gotta report it.
If it's something that's reportable, you are a mandated reporter as someone in that type of position. So,
well, isn't that only if you threaten to kill someone?
No.
Well, just real quick, the mother had suspected mental disorders when he turned 15, especially. But even as a child, there was mental disorders suspected. As a child, he would constantly lick his shoes to clean them. Not growing up in the cow pastures like where I grew up. Fuck, I'm just saying.
Well, is that something that you do?
He would not do. He's saying.
Yeah.
He would not do.
Oh.
As a child, he would lick his shoes to clean them. He would chew his fingers and toes, so much so that it would require medical attention. He was a happy child, and from his mother, quote, a joy to raise until 14 years old. His other classmates and friends that came forward said that he was somewhat of a bully. He had depression since he was 15. He even says that on the way to his interview after getting caught that he has major depressive disorder. He has been on depression medications, sertraline, since he was 15 years old. He started with the minimum, and at the time of the murder, he was on the maximum allowed dose that you could be on.
Of sertraline?
Of sertraline, yeah.
So I wonder why he didn't try a different
medication altogether. Yeah.
As far, well, this is the family doctor saying this. As far as the psychologist that he was seeing at the time for disclosing information, she did way before the murder. This is years before the murder. She was so alarmed by Brian Cohee Jr.'s behavior and things that he said that she wrote the mother a long letter stating that her son is idolizing Hitler, Stalin, and the Columbine shooters.
Oh boy.
Well, yeah, see, that's what I was talking about, like nuance. If that's something that's shared, like that's...
Yeah.
So the mom was aware, but if she was concerned about other mental disorders, she may not have been as active in like or trying to find some other type of solution for him. Not like, but you see what I mean? Like her reaction to it, obviously she was distraught by finding the head and hands, but like it wasn't
entirely surprised.
Yeah, I don't know. It was like surprised, but not surprised at him. Like surprised that she found a human head and hands, but not surprised that she found a human head and hands in her son's room. Like she wasn't angry.
That's interesting that you bring that up because multiple friends who testified and acquaintances all said the same thing. I'm kind of not surprised.
Yikes.
So, but also for the autism spectrum disorder, there's a telltale sign, and you can weigh in on this. I think it is.
Well, I'm not an autism expert. I can't weigh in.
Do you see how his leg is shaking like that?
No.
He's tapping.
Yeah, he's like
a stimulating type of behavior.
Well, the detective is mimicking him. That's how he builds rapport. But this guy is with his leg. He is constantly.
But that doesn't necessarily mean autism spectrum disorder. That could be an indicator of attention deficit disorder or attention deficit hyperactivity disorder.
Sorry.
That doesn't necessarily mean autism. Now, if that's his stemming behavior, that could be one thing, but that's not the only thing that really tipped me off to it. So I wouldn't just associate his shaking his leg with autism spectrum disorder. I think that's a dangerous assumption.
Very good call, Jen, I think. Yeah.
On the night of the murder, he was driving. He filled up his tank. He activates his Google Maps at the Shell gas station, navigates to Crosby Avenue. That's at 11. 4 minutes later, it happens.
4 minutes.
After he fills up.
Oh, he puts the he parks.
He looks it up and is ready to go.
He puts the mask on, parks, gets out, and goes straight to the guy was sleeping. He was in his sleeping bag. I think it was like a burlap sack that he was sleeping in, and it was freezing cold, right?
Yeah.
But he goes straight up to him and starts killing him. It's kind of like that American Psycho movie with Christian Bale.
Never finished it. I fell asleep.
Well, anyway, he goes up to a random homeless person, which I can promise you Brian Cohee has seen this movie a million times. In fact, on family night right before the murder, he recommended that the family watch a movie called 1984, which we watched. It was on that Shudder.
Was it based on the George Orwell book?
No, it was, The Summer of 1984. Oh. It was like a
really good movie.
It was a good movie.
Very like Stranger Things-esque in the 80s.
It was the guy. One of the guys from Mad Men was
John Hamm.
No, the guy, the art guy. I think.
I think so. Yeah.
It was a good movie, but anyway, it's also a slasher movie. So to recommend that for family movie night. Anyway,
Christina Hendricks is in another period.
Anyway, at 11:06, we know for a fact that he visits a URL for organic waste service management programs because he wanted to get rid of the body. Obviously,
he works in waste management like The Sopranos.
Also, this is really interesting. So his Google phone, his Android phone, obviously he doesn't tell the password. They actually got a Secret Service member who is one of the men who protect the president of the United States to take the phone and use this software that costs like $100,000 or something and backwards decrypt the password. And that's how they broke into his phone to get all this.
Well, that's what happens when you don't have an iPhone.
Exactly. And then he said says at 11:06 he visits the organic waste service program. So that's when we know that the murder occurred. 11:06 to 11:08 he takes photos of the murder scene, which they showed him in court. All right, anyway, let's talk about what happened. He walks straight up to the victim, Warren Barnes, and he begins, I believe, by throwing a rock or a broken piece of cement on it, because he does have, the victim did have brain fracturing and brain damage, but then immediately pulled out that knife, that big kitchen knife you saw, and started stabbing only in the head area. Now, we know that Warren, who was getting stabbed, was still alive, so much so that he says, "Why are you doing this?" That's when Brian says, quote, "I've been wanting to do this for a long fucking time." Wow. Now, during the murder, as he's stabbing the head, Brian tells investigators that he started making animalistic growling noises. I am not exaggerating how I just said that. He does that exact noise in the interrogation, which we can see here in a second if you want. He starts making animalistic noises like he's a werewolf. And then he talks about how, and this is another reason why he's a lot like Kemper, because Kemper likes to go into his own psyche and try to figure out like why he's like that. This guy is the same way. He starts letting his subconscious take over and say whatever comes to mind. And the only thing that came to mind while he was stabbing this guy in the face was he was calling him a stinky man. You stinky man, stinky man.
Well, poor guy probably hasn't had a shower in a while.
And he couldn't fight back. It was actually surprisingly easy. I was barely breaking a sweat. I thought, oh, this guy, he's going to be tough. But no, it was actually surprisingly easy. And during the time I was growling and making animalistic noises.
Yeah, you know what? I'm sorry, can you pause it?
His laughter.
It's almost like he thinks he's on a talk show. Like the way his mannerisms. It's like he's sitting down with Letterman or Jimmy Fallon or something to talk about it.
That is a great observation. You're spot on.
He is stabbing the face. He's making these growling noises. We know that Warren Barnes died within 3 stab wounds in the face. And then that's when the medical examiner says that he was then dead. He was not alive when his head was removed. Brian goes into great detail.
That's comforting, though.
He goes into great detail talking about how he removed the right arm by dislocating both joints and then cutting it off. It took him a long time to do that. He didn't look up how to do that before, but that's how he said he did it. He cut at the 2 joints, took the arm completely off. He tried to do the same thing with the left arm, but he mistakenly broke the bone here. Whatever bone this is, I don't know.
Like at the...
Yeah, your bicep bone or whatever. He breaks the bone, and for whatever reason, after he did that, he said he couldn't cut off the whole arm, so he just left that arm dangling and cut off the hands instead. He starts pouring out these words, stinky boy, stinky, stinky. And in fact, one of his photos that he took when he was 16, his username for one of these gaming websites or gaming platforms was that stinky boy or something like that. So
wow.
He uses that and he just keeps saying he's a stinky boy, stinky boy. He then slices the victim open from the neck down so he could get out the guts. The guts pour out into his hands. Quote, "They were really pink," end quote. Then he puts the guts down. He takes that knife and quote, destroys the eyes by stabbing them. He then takes the right arm off.
And Jacob says, that's my wife's pet name for me. I wonder...
What is?
Stinky boy. And I wonder if that's something that like... If he was on the autism spectrum and if that was like a screen name in the past, like the stinky boy, I wonder if that's something like his mom like used to call him when he was younger, and it was something that he like chose to identify himself as, like, and it's like, is he yelling stinky boy at the victim, like you're a stinky boy because you're a homeless person, or if he's like yelling out his own name in accomplishment of killing someone, like good job stinky boy, like that's something that he feels comfortable associating himself with.
that is exactly what Heidi was saying. Was he abused and called that by a family member that was making fun of him? Great call out. Yes, Shrem. This is the Brian Cohee story.
You know what's really fucked up about this case? The mother finds the head, right? What I didn't mention, when the mother finds the head, it was the Monday at 1:48 p.m. She then calls 911, and after the 911 call, she calls several parents in the neighborhood, and tells them to quickly hurry up and come get your children from my daycare, which is inside the house, because the mom runs a daycare. So all the family members, all the women came and got their children out of the house with the human head in it.
Wow.
No, it's not the mom's fault. I'm just saying it's kind of fucked up.
That's crazy.
There was kids in there because it was a daycare in the house.
Wow.
I stripped his clothes. I cut open his belly. See his guts. They're really pink. Sorry, that was morbid.
He apologizes, which is crazy, right?
That's the most morbid part of his story.
He takes the head, and also on the ground there was a pizza box. You know how homeless people sometimes sleep on pizza boxes, kind of like a thing.
Well, yeah, because cardboard it can soften the blow of the concrete and also can help to generate heat.
Yeah, so he takes one of those pizza boxes, like the bottom half of it, and he puts the head on the pizza box. That is so he could put it in the back of his car and it wouldn't get all the stuff all over the car. When the car was found in the water that very night, now I'll show you the video where he's talking to police, kind of joking with them. Yeah, I'm just a dumb teenager. I don't know how to drive. He just did this. They actually asked him what's on the back of the car because there was blood all over it.
So what was the timeline of the killing to where the mom finds the head?
The mom finds the head on March 1st, so 2 days after.
Okay.
February 27th is
the day of the murder.
27th, 28 is when he kills at 11 p.m. And then a few hours later, he takes that drive.
Got it. Okay.
And he literally parks the car in the lake. They see the blood on the back of the bumper. He even tells his mother, because the cops are concerned about him. Like, they believe his story. He's a psychopath. So they see this human blood and they tell the mom to call the son because they let the son go because he was in the water and he's cold.
That's what I was going to ask. He actually drove into the lake himself and parked it there, or did he push it in there?
He drove into the lake and parked it there. That's exactly what he did. So he went home. The cops actually tell the mother to call him and make sure he didn't hurt himself.
Because there was blood on the bumper.
They thought it was his blood. He then tells his parents, his mother, that what it was he took an effects class last year in high school and there was a fake blood container that bust in the car. The mother believes him. He's lying. So he can lie, man.
What's interesting is that he's not a minor, so they didn't have any responsibility. I mean, unless the car is in the parent's name, but they didn't have to call mom and be like, "Hey, can you check on your son because he might have hurt himself?"
Yeah, but they wanted to.
He's living at home.
But he didn't have any responsibility to. He's not a minor. You know what I mean? You don't have to, right?
If he was living at home, I could see that.
No, the cops were just being nice. They were just worried about him.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
Oh, interesting. Wolfie says he wants to be seen as organized, and if he's organized, he's smart. Heidi says he wants to be special.
Yeah, he is special, I'll tell you that. At 11:06 to 11:08 p.m., he takes 5 photos of the murder scene and deletes them. They were so graphic that the jury had to view them in contained folders. March 1st, 12:23 a.m., he searches how to wipe data from an Android phone. At 2:41 a.m., he searches, quote, "Does a river wash away evidence?" And at 6:16 a.m., he searches, quote, "How long does it take for a body to stink?" Kind of fucked up.
Yikes.
Now, going over his family history right quick, I told you that he used to lick his shoes and stuff like that. He had a kill kit that the parents had found previously, and they disassembled it. He reassembled it. He used this, quote, kill kit to torture and kill small animals. He would ask his friends if they liked, quote, crispy meat bites, end quote. You want to take a guess what that is?
Squirrel.
Rabbit?
Crispy meat bites is his own recipe and is basically running either a cat or a dog through a meat grinder and then frying up the pieces. That's crispy meat bites.
I don't like that at all. I much would have been more comfortable with squirrel or rabbit or raccoon or like pigeon or possum even.
Before the murder, there have been several cats missing and he was the suspect. Many people had thought he had did something to their cats. He had an obsession with serial killers, especially Edmund Kemper, okay, because he said, I wonder what that woman's head would look like on a stick, which is something that he said. And he also looked up a couple other serial killers that he liked a lot that I haven't done yet, and I've only heard of the last one, but James Date Ritchie, Joseph Christopher, and Andrea Yates.
Now, we know he licked his shoes, but did he wet his bed?
I don't know. I really tried to find that, but I didn't see that yet. He Googled holding people at knife point and, quote, how a deadly neck stab would be, end quote. Also, quote, where do homeless people sleep in the winter? Oh. So he definitely has a premeditated mindset to do this, because that is what we're going to ask. He is on the autism spectrum and he does have major depressive disorder. In fact, a very high recognized psychiatrist, his name is Dr. Paul Sprague. He is a 3 decades clinical psychologist who has weighed in on many big cases, diagnosed Brian Cohee Jr. with major depressive order with psychotic features, and said that this man was not legally sane during the time of the murder. This psychologist, who has been really respected for 3 decades, said that the increasing stress, unwanted thoughts, lack of medication control, lack of support system, isolation from the pandemic, family conflict, and the guilt of losing the family dog all came together, quote, making the murder of Warren Barnes inevitable, end quote.
Well, I have a couple of thoughts on that. Number one, the loss of the family dog. Was he responsible for the loss of the family dog?
That's a good question.
Did he kill that family dog with his meat bites?
I don't think so, but...
The other thoughts that I have, medication management, that's something that you don't have to be sane or insane. Like, that's something that is your responsibility. Now, if you have major depressive disorder, you may not feel motivated to take your medication. You may go days without taking your medication. You may not feel like caring for yourself. Now, and especially being in the pandemic, being isolated, it does not help the symptoms of major depressive disorder. And it's interesting that he has the major depressive disorder with psychotic features, because major depressive disorder alone would not necessarily make him want to kill someone. Typically, anyone with major depressive disorder, I would be more concerned about self-harm rather than harming someone else. So, I mean, some of the things that the psychologist brought up are valid, but also, like, if he was living at home and was under the care of his parents. Now, where the parents, did they have the role of caregivers, or was he just living there? Because, like, medication management, if you're a caregiver, like, you need to make sure that your child is taking their medication. But if he's like a legal adult and he's responsible for his own care,
he was 19.
Yeah, I mean, but if, like, there's a thing. So if he was on the autism spectrum disorder, if he's trying to be independent and he's doing his own thing, yeah, he might be responsible for his own medication delivery. But, like, if the parent has the role of a caregiver, wouldn't you want to make sure that your child is taking their medication?
Well, we don't know if he wasn't.
Well, he said medication management was part of the...
I think what they mean by that...
changing doses.
No.
Yeah, well, he was changing doses over the course of a few years. Remember that he said that he was on the lowest dose of sertraline and then he went up to the highest dosage. But if that medication isn't working, then you got to try something else.
I think that's what he's talking about. This
was not taking medication.
No, he was... It was changing so rapidly and he was already maxed out.
Okay,
on
so
sertraline.
see, that's something that
I think...
And more doesn't make it better.
No, you're right. Yeah. So, like,
but when I don't take my sertraline, I'm a dick.
You are.
I mean,
however, you once tried a higher dosage and it made you feel worse.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you remember that? Because I do. And you'd had to tell your doctor.
What the fuck is that supposed to mean?
I'm saying you had to say to the doctor.
It's because you just said more doesn't mean better. More doesn't mean
more doesn't make it
she's
better.
Agreeing with you.
He did plead not guilty by reason of insanity. Now, tell me, now we know there's two.
He knew it was wrong.
There's two specific things that you have to qualify for to get off to use that defense successfully. Do you know what they are? I don't know the exact wordage.
Well, I think one of them was not, if you did not know it was the difference between right and wrong.
Yeah.
He knows the difference between right and wrong.
Because it was premeditated.
Correct. Yes. And he knows murder is wrong.
Yeah.
He knows that. I don't know what the other one was.
The other one was if you're the culpability, is your mind even there? Did you even know you did this?
He does.
Or were you in a psychotic state where you don't even know you did this?
Well, the doctor said that he was in a psychotic state.
Exactly. But what the doctor didn't bring up is the premeditation. You have to qualify for both of those to have a successful insanity plea. But even that doesn't work. Remember, we talked to Karen Conti, the lawyer for John Wayne Gacy, and John Wayne Gacy didn't apply for that because he said if Jeffrey Dahmer couldn't get away with insanity,
neither could I.
How could effing anybody? I mean, that guy was out of his gourd. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
So the premeditation really gets him, and he's singing like a bird, right?
Yeah.
And he's obviously
the whole gloves, like he did his research. He had a kill kit. He harmed animals growing up. Like this is a pattern of behavior.
And he told the detectives, he is telling the detectives, like he's teaching them, oh no, you don't want to just wear one pair of latex gloves. You got to put 3 on. And doing stuff like that. He's like teaching a class. It's really weird. Now, that was Dr. Paul Sprague. He said that this would make the murder of Warren Barnes inevitable. However, the rebuttal of that was Brian Cohee dressed that night to kill. He wore a mask. He took photos and then deleted those photos from the scene. So if you don't know right from wrong, why would you delete the photos? There was even a dated calendar entry that was deleted on his phone for that murder day titled First.
And he intended there to be more.
Exactly. Dr. B. Thomas Gray, the director of training for forensic psychologists, which was one of just 365 board certified clinical psychologists in the country, said that Brian Cohee Jr.'s his mental health doesn't even matter because clearly at the time of murder, he could tell right from wrong.
Mm-hmm. Can I ask, and I don't know if you found this in your research or even looked this up, but and it doesn't necessarily matter, but I'm curious as to what his highest level of education was. Was he a student currently? What did he graduate from high school?
He graduated from high school. He was asked that. He said he graduated from elementary, then junior high, then high school. And at the time, being 19, he was working at Safeway. It's like a grocery
Gas
store.
Station, yeah. Oh, yeah.
So that's where he was working. He's a very smart dude. He's definitely autistic. There's no doubt about that. But he knew right from wrong. I will say there was some family struggles. I don't think the daycare was doing that well. And the father was just recently unemployed. So there was some family, stuff going on for sure.
Because changes in family, not defending his actions by any means, but changes in family can also be a stressful situation for someone to get over, whether or not you're on the autism spectrum disorder.
He says about that cat on Halloween.
Autism spectrum.
I shepherded and herded the cat into the sleeping bag and beat it and strangled it and broke and snapped its neck. So it's heavy. I then decapitated the cat, hid the body in a shoebox, hid the head in a wine cork box, and then I disposed both in the trash and got away with it.
So he has a history of it's almost cat-like when you think about it, like the way that cats use litter boxes and hide their food, hide their waste, or like if they take prey and they bury it, or is that dogs? No, I mean they hide it too. Like you take something you're proud of and then you go hide it somewhere.
I sure hope he is in prison without parole for life.
Is that what you think?
No, it's not what I think, but it's what I hope.
Well, he is life in prison without parole. He thought he was only getting 20 years.
Well, Jacob, that's a good question. What made the mom search his room?
Or the murder night, he goes and tries to submerge the car in the Colorado River. Once the car is returned to the family, the father searches the glove box and finds Warren Barnes' wallet in the glove box. And everyone in that town already knew this man was missing. So So not only is his wallet in the glove box of Brian's car, but also a large knife.
Now, did he try to explain? No, never mind, because he wasn't trying to hide it. So that I don't even know why I started to ask that question. Like, I wonder if he had, before he decided to tell the police everything, I wonder if he had a story made up as to like why he would have had Warren's wallet.
Yeah.
Or if he was just not caring the entire time.
That's a good question. The dad finds the wallet, immediately calls the mom, and within that hour, she finds the head. So the dad's like, go search his room, see what you can find. Maggot head. Isn't that nuts? I mean, he's just like joking with the police. They have no idea.
Wow.
That's how a psychopath can talk to you, man.
Yeah, I mean, that makes more sense. Like, seeing the video kind of makes more sense. I'm like, how does he park it in there? So he's saying that he went to the boat ramp and is like saying he left it in drive or something like that.
He went to clear his mind. That's what he says. He's going to clear his mind, and went to the boat ramp and then parked the car, and then it slid backwards, which, looking at it now, the car's not going to do that.
No, unless the boat ramp, unless they took it at a different angle, because the boat, like we're looking at it from the angle I'm looking at it, like if it looks like the car is going this way, right? So if the boat ramp looked like it was here, no, it doesn't work that way. Why are you going to back into the boat ramp?
But yeah, he got life in prison without parole. And this is very recent. This just happened. This is why it's kind of all out in the news right now. But that's all I could find on it. So I did see it went back and forth between different psychiatrists. Dr. Laura Serengo Amerigo, who works NGRI cases, which is not guilty by reason of insanity, interviewed Cohee, and she got a lot of flack for this because she's young. She just got her license, and this is like one of her first ones. But she said that he had told her since he was 15 years old, multiple times a day, he would think about and fantasize about doing violence, such as stabbing his peers, hitting them with a hammer, and even biting them. And this is also kind of crazy.
Makes you wonder if something happened at 15, you know what I mean?
This is also kind of crazy. The eyeballs, I said, were cored out. He actually popped the eyeballs out. He tells this doctor that for the last year before the murder happened, he felt that someone or some entity was watching him constantly, intense paranoia, and he dug out Barnes's eyeballs because, quote, he thought they were tiny cameras recording him, end quote. Although she said he is on the spectrum and does have major depressive disorder, she said that these thoughts were based on feelings and not hallucinations. So the thoughts...
That's a specific distinction.
So the thoughts he's having is his own feelings. He can control them. That's basically what I'm getting from it. So, because it was back and forth between these... I mean, there's some pretty high influential psychologists here, you know?
Yeah.
That are going back and forth.
Wow.
But yeah, that's the case.
I'm like, I could talk about this case for another 45 minutes probably. I know we won't, but I'm just saying it's just very fascinating to me. And I wonder what was in the kill kit that the parents disassembled and then he reassembled. Number one.
I don't know.
Number two, like if you know that your child has a kill kit and your therapist, like, I feel like
crumbly vibes, huh? Crumbly vibes.
I don't think it was the parents. So
no, not crumbly vibes at all. I'm just saying, like, if you are a therapist, and I know that, and that kind of goes back to the question that I asked before, like, what is the level of care that the parents were providing? Because he's an adult, so you technically you don't have to report what someone says to you in a session. Excuse me, to a parent if you're over the age of consent. However, if they're providing a level of care, like, I would want to know if my child was having consistent thoughts of murder or paranoia. Like, that's something that
he may not have disclosed that though to his therapist.
No, he has.
He did.
Since he was 15.
Since he was 15.
All of this was before he was 18. So the psychologist that he was seeing,
he did fail to report.
No, that psychiatrist. No,
but there are other psychiatrists. I don't think it. I think you can only report it if someone says, I'm going to either harm someone or myself.
It has to be specific.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of kids idolize the Columbine shooters for some reason.
No, see, that's something that I mean, like, if it's something,
I don't know. I'm just telling you what I read. So I don't know.
So it's very it's a very fine line with confidentiality. Like if someone is talking about idolizing the Columbine shooter, for example, and this hasn't happened to me personally in my sessions with students. Now, granted, I'm not a psychologist, I'm a school counselor. So, but the rules of confidentiality are, pretty much the same. But if I was with a student and the student brought up, I'm idolizing the Columbine shooter, that's a very take back statement. So you don't want to necessarily react majorly to that, but you want to find out more. Like, what about it do you idolize about this? Like, what is it that you are fascinated about? For example, it would be one conversation if they were like, well, I'm interested in the history of mass shootings and how to prevent mass shootings and what can we do better to protect the people, versus I'm interested in finding out what they did wrong. How can I kill people? How can I this, and that? What are their plans? What are their thought processes? Why did they do this? Why did they do that? Do that. But there's two different avenues. So if myself as a counselor, if it were something where it was, okay, I want to learn about how can we better protect our schools and what can we do to prevent mass shootings? Mass shootings have become very popular in the United States. That's one thing. That's not something I would necessarily report to parents, because it's not as alarming as to say I idolize the Columbine shooters and their plans and how they built these bombs, and the bombs didn't go out. I mean, you talk about Columbine. That's something that I might call a parent about and be like, hey, just an FYI, I talked with Sally today. She's talking about idolizing the Columbine shooters. I don't want to alarm you, but maybe if you want to talk about that a little bit more and see what she's thinking about, type of thing. You see what I mean? Because those are signs of being a danger to someone else versus not.
Yeah.
Do you see what I'm saying? Like I talk to kids all the time. They're like, oh yeah, I want to be and it's become more popular. I want to be a forensic psychologist, or I want to be a medical examiner because I would like true crime because these documentaries on Netflix. And now, granted, I don't tell them about this podcast. I'm like, oh, true crime. That's so cool. That's awesome.
What about a kid that's like, I want to be an American soldier, so I can go kill people?
I would explore that comment a little bit more,
because let me just be honest. If you're a kid listening to this and you have these feelings, dude, join the fucking military, like the Marines or something, as infantry, and you can go fucking explore all this shit yourself. They'll send you over there and you can kill people legally. I'm just saying, it's better than doing it here, right? I mean, you kill bad guys. I'm not trying to be funny. That's just because I was in the infantry, and literally half of those guys are psychopaths. You know what I'm saying?
Well, yeah, I see what you're saying. But if someone said, I want to join the military because I want to wield a gun and kill people, yes, I would explore that conversation more.
But that's the reason why half of them want to join anyway.
Heidi has a fun fact, if you're okay with me reading it. Fun fact, Kemper called the police to come and arrest him from a payphone in Pueblo, Colorado, and that is where I currently live.
Fun.
That is crazy. I did not know that. I mean, I think I covered that. Maybe I kind of remember that.
I remember the payphone call.
I do too.
Yeah.
Another payphone call I remember.
The weepy voice killer?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I did something bad.
Thanks for being here, everyone.
Thanks for being here. We'll be here tomorrow for headlines. Until next time, good night to you lovely, lovely people.
Kind of running this shit.